let's call our meeting to order. And ask the treasurer to call the roll.
President Baker,
Present.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Vice President Cole,
Present.
Ms. Gibbs,
Here.
Ms. Hudson,
Here.
Mr. Peretti,
Here.
Ms. Reyes.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And if there's no objection, we can dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I want to thank you all for being here and making the time for this work session. It's an extra meeting on our calendar, so I do appreciate it. Let's have a motion that we adopt the agenda as it's presented.
Motion, so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? Mr. Treasurer?
President Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Vice President Cole,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs,
Yes.
Ms. Hudson.
Sounds fine. It's fine. I think it's vague. It's vague, so fine. Yes.
Mr. Peretti,
Yes.
Ms. Reyes.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you. All right, so 3 things on the agenda for tonight. The first one, as you can see, is the ESC partnership. And so as you all recall from our resolution that we passed recently at the board meeting, we specifically noted that we wanted to reach out to the ESC of Central Ohio to do the following. Retain a non-voting mediator knowledgeable and skilled in both dispute resolution and Ohio Sunshine laws, to work with the board to facilitate communications among the board members and with the search firm to conduct a new search, including coordination of the process, executive search firm bidding, selection, and to work with the board and search firm on search efforts. So, I reached out to the ESC and had conversations, as you know, with the superintendent of the ESC, Tom Goodney, and I do have a report back. In our first discussion, he suggested, as he brainstormed, he suggested these names. And he asked me for a little bit of time to think about it, and what he came back with was the name on the top, Bill Reimer. We've had some discussion about Bill. And so here's his recommendation. So this is Superintendent Goodney's recommendation, that Bill be our facilitator, coordinator, mediator, and that he work in a sort of quarterback role, and that he work with us and any services that we need, whether it's mediation or whatever else we may decide we need. Bill has those available at his disposal from the ESC. And another good news item about this is we have a current contract with the ESC, so it wouldn't cost us any additional funds for bill services or any of the other consulting services that we might require. So that's the recommendation from the ESC, so let's talk about that.
Who are the other 4 people? Those are just other names that he provided that have similar or same characteristics?
Yeah, so Bill and George both work for the ESC. We've had Dr. Tombaugh coordinate a retreat for us in the past. Phil Cast is actually, I think he's CEO of the Columbus Medical Association, or at least he...
No, he's retired.
He was,
He is
or at least he
retired.
was. And so he is someone who Tom recommended could be a good facilitator because he's been convener of conversations and things like that. We all know Jeff Cabot, and Joelle Zam is an attorney that works at Bricker and Eckler that the Superintendent Goodney suggested could be of use to us. So this was our initial conversation, and then when Tom Goodney came back to me, he said, best model he thinks is to have Bill Reimer be our person, and he can bring all of these people to bear as we need, and if there's anything else that we need, that Bill can also work with Tom to bring these services to bear as well.
So it was my assumption, I know we all have different, trying to get to the same point, but that the ESC, Bill or whomever else in ESC would work with us then to pick a mediator and to then help us pick legal counsel. And so that's what Superintendent Goodney is suggesting. That we'll be able to present us with a few options. I mean, because what I want to see is for us just to have some deliverables, some next dates for us, to get together. I think that should be maybe like one of the first things that we get done is scheduling our next meeting. But if we do go with someone that will act as a quarterback that can help sort of coordinate these different things that we need to have, whether it is the mediator and whether it is someone that, you know, trained in these areas, and then someone, independent legal counsel, it would be nice to kind of have that out there and get going and start to have somebody, that would be this person, Bill, to start bringing us some options that, as soon as possible. That way we could take that next step.
And specifically in our resolution, we did say that we wanted this individual to help us find the search firm, and then be a liaison between the board and the search firm. So that's definitely a role that we said we wanted this person to take on. Choice of outside legal counsel, we didn't speak to as a role for that person, but we need to talk about that too tonight, about how we'll do that. Ms. Hudson?
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think what I would like to, as you were describing it, and I think as I know some of the folks on this list, I think we need to make sure there's a difference, we recognize there's a difference between a quarterback and a mediator and an independent counsel. So the quarterback certainly would be sort of a project manager of the effort, and could help us with, and there is that element to this kind of process. So, and we definitely have to have someone that can do that. The second would be, though, in mediation, as we talked about at length at our last meeting, that a mediator is someone trained in dispute resolution. And there's a big difference between someone who's a project manager and someone that's deals with dispute resolution. And so some of these folks have some dispute resolution related skills that I know of, but I think we'd want to, like Bill would not. Bill could be a quarterback, and I'm not opposed to that. But I think it would be also then selecting someone with dispute resolution skills, and that would also be separate from someone providing us with legal advice. And we wouldn't, and I think, it would be inappropriate to expect someone who we've asked to represent us legally to also then try to figure out if we're disputing, if we're going to meet at 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock, if they're going to help us figure that out too.
Right.
And so, so the mediator would be in that role.
Yes, Mr. Vice President,
Thank you,
next.
thank you, Mr. President, and I'll be very quick. My understanding is that this is the process that we're establishing right now, in that we're looking at Bill as the possible quarterback, as you've identified, or that individual who is basically the project manager type, and someone else who will then help us identify what our legal counsel is going to be and what that process will be, and then we move forward from there. I agree with you in that there should be a separation of power, so to speak, but I had no thought in my mind that any one person would be doing all three of these things for us, so to speak.
All three, I'm sorry.
So the three different roles are the facilitator, mediator, whatever that is, how we work that out, the search firm,
Right.
and then outside legal
Oh,
counsel.
okay, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Ms. Gibbs, will you
Yes.
next?
So the first thing I was going to say is, can we call the person by the correct name so that we're clear? I heard quarterback, project manager, but
Facilitator,
I
the
mediator.
resolution says
Correct.
the mediator. And so if we can all refer to it in the correct nomenclature, I think we won't get confused. And I just asked them if they can just, again, reprint a copy of the resolution so we speak to it. According to the resolution, we asked two, amongst other very specific things. One, that this person comes from the ESC. That is what's in the resolution. It says
No, that we work with the ESC.
that we work with the ESC.
To
but we-
identify somebody.
But we said the ESC, so that was one, as opposed to any other entity. So we're asking to work with the ESC.
No.
Yep, but,
Can I read it?
hold on, 1 second. Just let
Why don't
me
we
finish,
hear
let me finish. We said we want to work with them to identify it, but I want to make sure we're true to what we said they're going to do. And if the ESC, I want to clarify, did the ESC, they say they can work with anybody on this list and then they gave us a recommendation? Is that what he said?
The recommendation from the ESC is that Bill be our assigned person from the ESC, but then that Bill can work with us to bring to bear any other resources that we may need.
So let me ask this, are these other 4 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, affiliated with the ESC?
In one way or another, they all
Okay.
have been.
That
Or are.
answers my clarification.
Ms. Hudson?
So I think there's two, this is a fourth role. So this is not the mediator. So our resolution says the mediator would be the quarterback. So the resolution says we work with the ESC to find a mediator. I think that we would be modifying that by having Bill serve as a quarterback. I don't think these names are presented in the spirit of these are true trained mediators. I mean, I know a couple of the folks on the list, but I don't know that they are professionally trained as mediators. You know, just so that this is a fourth. So I think it's a fourth element. There's two things that one. This is sort of a fourth role.
That's not how this reads, though.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And there's two things. A, it reads a mediator would have been serving. No, this does not read for a quarterback. The mediator would be like a project manager. I think that and I think we're kind of mixing quarterback and mediator as sort of blending in. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same.
It's sort of how do we get to step one? And I think that the ESC has said, well, we can help you get to step one, and we would have Bill staff that to get you to step one.
So
He would
in
be,
the idea, we're going to hire somebody to help us hire somebody to be the mediator.
we're not hiring this person. The ESC
I mean-
is providing this as service, and what they're going to be doing is they're going to, provide this board with some folks that we can look at to fill those roles of mediator and independent legal counsel.
No, we're doing independent legal counsel. They're just doing the mediator.
Council's separate.
Counsel is separate. So this is just
Okay.
finding the mediator.
Okay.
Counsel is
So,
separate.
But one of the benefits of partnering with the ESC is we do have an existing contract.
Mhm.
And also that they'll work with us to provide with whatever we need.
I think the most important thing really is look, we need to take a step forward and have, if this is what the ESC can provide us, is to provide us people who could be a mediator. That's what we should. That's what we should be focusing on now. Then, and then setting that next date, and asking them to bring us some results on who that mediator could be. And that way we can go on to the next step, and that is picking independent legal counsel, and then the next step, figuring out about the search firm. So I mean, if we're at this place right now, I think what we really need to focus on then, sticking to the resolution and what we had said, and making sure that we're being true to all that, but then asking and then ESC then to provide us those folks. I think that's where we need to be moving.
Okay, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, a few things. First, my understanding, consistent with the language of the resolution, is not that the mediator will be ESC or its staff. Will simply be that ESC is somebody we're going to work with to retain a non-voting mediator. So the mediator need not be affiliated with ESC in any fashion whatsoever. And in working with ESC, whether we're working directly with Tom or if he's assigned that task to Bill or somebody else, fine. And it's a fairly discrete task, which is to work with us to identify and retain a mediator. The mediator then to do the things that are set out here. After we have the mediator on board, that person will help us with selection of legal counsel. That person as mediator working with us, it's our selection. That person does not have a vote, but that person will help us in settling upon a lawyer, how do you not say
Because
that?
it's in a separate bullet, and
Yeah.
we did not ask them to help us.
I know.
retain
No,
the-
the mediator's going to help us with
Conduct the search,
everything search
including
related.
coordination of the process, executive
Yeah,
search firm.
absolutely.
and
Colleagues,
selection.
Order, Mr.
Oh,
President.
Colleagues,
I think that was next.
colleagues, we shall have order.
Yeah.
I thank
I'm
you.
not quite finished.
Continue.
But-
Yeah.
Mr. Hudson, Mr.
My understanding is that that mediator will help us with all things related to the search in resolving any differences among us, which will include, you know, selection or retention of a search firm, as well as the lawyer, and work with us on,
Can I clarify what you're trying to say, Mr. Brown?
yeah, sure.
Yes.
Because I don't think what you're saying is that they're gonna, I think what the misunderstanding is, the help piece is ensuring that we have a good conversation, ensuring that they're mediating and getting us to a resolution. So the language that we're using is semantics. So it's so the understanding at this meeting, at this resolution, was that we can't agree on a lot of things, i.e., a great example right now, is that this person is not helping us pick the legal person. They're gonna help facilitate the conversation that leads us to selecting the legal person. This person is not helping us do anything other than the facilitation to ensure the mediation piece of getting us to whatever, to consensus, to quorum, to whatever it is, to ensure that we are getting to where we need to get in each of the selection processes. I think that's what you're trying to
exactly.
say. What I would like to add, as we go through this, it sounds like there's a lot of people on this table that know a lot of these people and have experience or know some knowledge of some of the people that are on this list, and maybe in list that we are about to get, especially when we get to the legal piece. As we go through this process, I would request a bullet bio or something.
Thank you, 'cause that was
Because
gonna be my answer.
I'm going to be in a little bit of an unfair disadvantage, and maybe some people in this room may make some assumptions. I know X person, and they've done this. Unless I see their bio or their resume, I can assume all day long until
Correct.
I know experiences. I like all you guys, and I respect all you guys, but there's a lot of people I know, and I don't know their full background. I can speak for somebody, but miss some things. I can assume somebody has a qualification or characteristic that we're looking for, and that's what's missing. So, if we're not going to take I guess the sound advice, or not sound advice, but the direct advice of a person like, who was you saying, Tom? From the ESC, where they say this person, because people have questions, I think viably, we need to get a background so we can say, yes, they do, or no, they don't, based on their experience.
Thank you. And that does clarify things. And in terms of, so ESC, that's Tom's job.
Right.
And either he or his staff will work with us to select the mediator. I'm not entirely clear on this list of recommendations from them, whether these are people being recommended to do ESC's job of helping us to find a mediator, or whether these are the proposed mediators. It's not clear to me, but from what I know, and I know many of these folks, I don't see any of these as the person that we're speaking of as our mediator who has mediation skills and has knowledge of sunshine law. I think that whoever ESC wants to assign is fine. That's Tom's role. And once we have that person, whether we have a process of, we can each submit whatever names we have for prospective mediators, or he and they can do some independent research to identify mediators, but those are not these folks.
Correct.
That's correct?
That is correct. So just as a point of clarification, those are just some names that Tom had shared with me when we first talked. But Tom, as you indicated, has subsequently assigned Bill to the role to help us find the person that we need.
Oh.
So
Ms. Hudson?
I guess, so it's frustrating because, we've had over 2 weeks here and I would have hoped I thought we would have Tom here or have someone from ESC here.
We would have,
No.
Tom wasn't able to be here.
We were presented with news that we'd found a mediator. And I knew that Bill Reimer was not a mediator. And so, the one and only job was to have the ESC help us find a mediator. It really wasn't a big task. To have a list of folks that and I think to Ramona's point, absolutely, we need information about folks. Again, my speculation should not be, it's who's trained in the areas that we outlined. And if somebody says, look, I can mediate and provide, but I'm not gonna, be the project manager, I think it sounds like we've got, the ESC can help maybe split that into 2 roles. What was described in this resolution about the mediator could be split into 2 roles. And I do not have an objection to that, but I'd want to just review that. But I also think, we've got to get on the stick and get going with
Yes.
this.
Well, can I,
Yes, ma'am.
well, I can say that, so I don't want us to get confused. After we passed this resolution, there was a all call to all 7 of us saying, if you have a name, submit it. If you have somebody you want
sorry.
to be in this role, submit it. So after we thought it
Could
was
you
Bill
please-
Reimer, excuse me,
I just want
please
you to
don't interrupt.
clarify what
So
you're
please
saying.
don't interrupt. No, I will
Yeah,
clarify
you're
if you
wrong.
listen.
And-
So
but
this is
when
what
you
I'm
say
going to
this
say.
person, which
So
person?
listen. So when we passed this, it was, we're going to work with the ESC if you have a mediator. We thought it was going to be Bill. It's not Bill. And then it said if anybody has any ideas, submit it. If you have an idea for independent counsel, submit it. That was the conversation
I
at the
don't
board.
recall
No, no, no,
any.
no,
But it was.
There was
So-
never
no.
a request to
But
submit names for
here's
mediator.
the
was
bottom
that Gary
line.
was gonna go to the
Excuse me,
ESC and
can
get a
I
mediator.
Please speak.
Well, don't misrepresent what we did at the board table.
If you let me finish, then we can get to where we are, where we need to be. So the bottom line is this, because now I'm very confused and I want to make sure I understand what process do we want to take. So are you saying we need to go back to the ESC and say, give us more names of people to help us to find the mediator?
So-
I guess that's what I'm trying to
That's what I was
understand.
clarifying, is that he just said, the conversation, or the way that we worded, or how this was presented, was this was not the mediator.
Right.
So that's, we're not
Right.
looking at a
My
mediator
hope
list
was that
technically.
we would have
Right.
Bill here tonight to talk with us, to talk about our need for the mediator, so that he could then help us find the mediator.
Right.
So,
Yes.
Tom's
So-
not here and Bill's not here, so.
And
So the point
problem,
is-
in part, was that you initially represented Bill to us as the mediator.
Yes.
And-
But
and
that's been remedied, but that's been fixed.
undone.
Yes.
So now, where do
That's-
we want to go to find it? So are we hearing a 2-part process or a 1-part
I
process?
think we need to get to step 1 and
Yes.
have the ESC present us with some mediators.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So-
That's
I don't
where the
understand
error
what's
is.
so difficult about
Yeah.
this.
Right,
So
yes, because you're,
So for that piece, for item
they
number-
gave it to you
for item
and y'all don't
number
want it.
one,
No, they
no,
did
but-
not.
No.
They did not. We did
No.
not have a mediator.
That's
And
the
this is
issue.
just a delay tactic that we need to stop this right now.
just
And
say
bring 'em
what's
in.
the process that you want
Come
to
on,
do.
guys.
No.
I think we
What
should
are we
schedule
gonna do?
another
We were
meeting.
clear
There's
about
no
that.
conspiracy.
Here's
Yes,
my-
sir. You know
Let's
what?
go.
Here's my recommendation.
Calm down.
Here's my
Calm
recommendation.
down.
We set a meeting, we invite Bill,
Mhm.
we tell Bill exactly what we think we want as far as a mediator. Bill works with the ESC to find a mediator or a list of mediators he can present to us.
I think you give him that direction now. I don't think we need to have a meeting to tell him.
If we have consensus, then
I think that would be, that's
Okay.
what we need to take.
Well, I think he needs to be prepared, so that we're not spending 2 hours
Right.
Sure.
and then
So
giving
we-
him direction and going, but the mediator has to be very specific
Right.
in what they're, like Mary Jo said, that they're knowledgeable or trained or certified in mediation. I think those things are what needs to be shared, is Bill, this is what we need, give them a copy of the resolution, they can
Yeah.
play back the tapes, because I think we spent a lot of time going mean what you say what you mean.
All right, so I will ask for, I'll talk with Bill and I'll ask for him to come to our next meeting with a list of mediators with details. He has a copy of the resolution, so does Superintendent Goodney. And so.
And we should have the ability to send him information, so we say we at least did that step. If you have any ideas, send it to Bill.
Yes.
I would ask that you put those directions in writing.
Yes.
You send that to Bill and copy all of us.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you, anyone who's interested in doing so, please send to me specific language you want me to include in the request.
Okay.
So that I don't
Perfect.
leave anything out.
Right,
And please do that by Friday, is that fair?
yes.
For the next couple of
And
days, I'll
then
get
you'll
it to him.
request to Bill and ESC in writing.
I do it
with
by
copies
tomorrow.
to us
By
all.
tomorrow.
If sure, right away.
I don't want to rush you all. Can you all just get me
No.
names
Yes.
tomorrow, today or
And
tomorrow?
I think that we need to
Names?
Language.
No.
No,
Language.
Language, I'm sorry.
Language.
Language.
And I think that we need to set the next date for us to, you know.
We're going to do that at the end of the
At-
meeting,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
So now, if someone has an idea or somebody they think we should work with, do you want them to send those names to
Sure.
you as
Feel
well?
free and I'll send that to Bill
Okay.
as well. Okay, so
that
you'll all
way
send me
everybody's ideas-
language
Those
and-
names will go to Bill.
Send me
Names
language.
to Bill. Language to Gary.
So what you're suggesting is wait until Bill's ready? Or
No,
Bill, he's
as
gonna-
soon as Bill gets this letter, this email,
Then you can send suggestions.
then we're gonna, anybody who wants to send the name of a mediator.
So your letter
only.
should then also read that you may or may not receive some recommendations of people that some of us may know that have experience in mediation. And I would say that, again, if that person, ESC doesn't know them, if this is somebody you recommended, then you need to ask for a resume or a bio. So don't just,
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I think
To
it
be
should be
fair.
made clear that the recommendation is coming from one of us as opposed to Bill. Because if we're submitting names, then we need to say this has been recommended by Board Member Cole, Board Member Brown. These are names recommended by you because we're asking him to give his professional advice and those names may not line up. So if it's somebody we're submitting, just indicate that, send it to Bill, but indicate that as such. And if it's somebody that Bill is offering to us from his own database, then have him indicate that as such.
It would be easier if you just sent your names to me if you have them. That way he knows they're coming from the board.
I think so too.
Okay, so send me language and names by the close of business tomorrow, and I'll
And you
immediately
can
send
forward
it.
it all.
Wednesday morning, I'll send an email to Bill with our language and our recommended names, and then if you have additional names later, then you can just share those with Bill if you like.
And I candidly am not going to send any names. I'm going to rely on ESC. They can ask their counsel and other folks to come up with, that's where they need to vet folks that are trained mediators, but also
Yeah.
know open meetings and public records related issues. So but I think we've wasted a lot of time to get to this point. So
Yeah.
we need to be clear and move fast.
All right, so.
One advantage
Yes.
in sending some names, I think, and I understand your point, is that it may help them identify what kind of person we're looking for. If the names that we're suggesting are what we believe is needed for the mediator, having mediation skills, having knowledge about public records law and sunshine law, I think that may have some benefit.
Sure, and I don't disagree with that.
Because, as I said earlier, none of the names on this list
Right, no.
would fit the bill.
we
So-
think, because you don't know everybody's
So
background.
I agree
Yeah,
with
it
your
is.
point.
But the point is, there's an opportunity for,
Right.
there's an opportunity for board members to submit, and then we're asking Bill for his advice and his professional
Right,
guidance, so.
and as Board Member Hudson indicated,
the
we'll
record
definitely
show.
rely on the ESC, that's why
And the names need not be of people that we know.
they're, right.
They may be
Exactly.
people that we're aware of, that we've heard of, that we know their reputation, but may not be any.
Let's move on, thank you all for that discussion. Let's move on to item 3.2, discuss the search firm selection. We know that whoever the ESC provides is going to help us choose the search firm based on our resolution. Is there any discussion on that at this point, the search
Yeah.
firm question in general? Yes, Ms. Brown.
A couple things with it. One, I think that as much as we were all very disappointed and unhappy with Hazard Young, and I have not looked up the contract to see what it does or does not provide when a search fails. It might provide that they will continue the search
It does.
at no
It does.
cost.
It does.
Okay,
It
and that's,
does.
because my guess is that if we asked that they be willing to do that, even if the contract didn't say so.
Agreed. What's your suggestion?
My suggestion is that we not roll them out of hand, that there may be some benefits, both in cost and in saving some time, and that the fact that they blew it the first time, I think gives them some strong incentives to make sure they do it right.
So what you're saying is we should consider
We
that.
should consider that.
Okay, all right, yes, ma'am.
I think I'm adamantly opposed to that. If we have been asked to start over, I believe we should start over. And that blowing it is blowing it. And that we are starting over a search. And I think we should submit an RFP and to look at other firms that may be able to come in with a fresh look, with some new renewed vigor. And if they beat everybody out the second time, then fine. But I am for just, and the RFP is already written. I don't even think much of it even has to change.
I think
But
that-
we've already did a ton of the background work. But I would be very interested, as I said at the board table, and very adamant that we need to look at what other firms can offer, and we need to really consider not just that they can do it, but because of their agreements with who they place, we need to look at each individual firm and look at who would be off limits to us if we use them. And that has to be a part of our criteria, because most firms will not go back to a candidate
Can't.
if they can't go back if they placed them in the last 3 years. So I think we need to just send the RFP back out on the street, look at some other firms, and really use that as a part of our criteria, and really look at who needs to do this again. But I think if we're starting over, we need a fresh look with some people.
If I could just, respond.
You want to respond to that?
Yeah, I agree with you that we do need to factor that in, that the notion of they can't recruit certain folks that they have placed in jobs. And that is an important factor, I think. But my point is that I don't think we should rule them out right off the bat. I also don't think that we have the time or should take the time to do a new full RFP process. I don't see us needing to do that. I think we need to just get at it and make a selection.
Well, let's,
And limit what we're asking the firm to do for us.
and let's not get too deep into this discussion, because the ESC is going to help us
Guide
select
that
the firm, so
process.
we don't
No,
need to talk
the
about it.
mediator will help us,
Through the process.
not the ESC.
Not choose, but
Okay,
through
the
process.
mediator. But
So to
MJ,
reiterate,
it's your point.
yes, I know Board Member Hudson is next, but to reiterate, we don't need to go too deep into it tonight, because the mediator is going to help us work through the process. Ms. Hudson?
I share that view.
Okay.
And I think that I have reservations. I understand both positions. I have significant reservations, but I'd like also to have counsel, make sure we have counsel that reviews that with
Agreed.
us and reviews our options.
Agreed.
But I think that if we have Bill here, we get the mediator picked. If we decide, I think that's the other thing is if we decide to have Bill as the ESC rep continue to help facilitate some things with us, we keep that open. They could help us then with, I think, suggestions on a search firm alternative.
yeah, I think to your point, whether we do it now, whether we do it later, we're going to have this discussion about which search firm to come, and everything else you said. We've talked about hurry up, but this is one where this one has a time frame to it, because we're getting ready to go into a brand new school year. And so if we're going to look at the next round of superintendents that are going to be available, it starts in August, and they're thinking about what they're gonna do for their next year, and then there's that window. So I don't always think going fast does very well, but if they'll facilitate that discussion, we're still gonna have to have that discussion. And when we talk about blow it, we ruled out somebody for a typo in the table of contents. So when we talk about looking at the depth of their work, then we're gonna have to look at quality, and quality has to play into it. And I would love to give other people a look, and if they beat them out, so be it, but they're gonna need to compete.
And Mr. Baker, as we go
Yes,
through
ma'am.
this process, I think we should be open to Skyping, to doing all that stuff. I think one of the things that may delay this is trying to get them to come in, fly in, drive in, whatever that is. I think we have technology nowadays. If they need to present, if we feel as a board that they need to present, or perhaps through doing our own research and the facilitator, mediator, whatever you want to call that person, we can have a clear winner that rises to the top. As we've discussed, we've gone through a lot of this. There's a lot of things that we've learned through the process, things not to do and some things that to do. So I think we can be very clear as for our expectations. I do believe any firm that would be interested in applying for an RFP with us would be probably is very knowledgeable of what we're looking for and some of the things that maybe went wrong and some of the things that they would recommend if they RFP. So I don't think it needs to be very belabored. Any search firm right now that's looking at this or has been working or has been following this is probably prepared with their RFP right now to say this is what we want to submit. So it doesn't have to be a drawn out process. As we discussed when we were starting this whole thing, timing when you're looking for a superintendent is important. Right now is prime time. So I do believe that we need to make that selection in a timely, not in a rush manner, in a timely manner. And that may mean that we need to adjust our processes and it can still be visual, it can still be in a board meeting. We have all the equipment available to us to do a Skype and not have to worry about flying, coordinating. So whatever we can do to make sure that we can get this process going, I think we should look at.
Thank you. All right. Third item is discuss outside legal counsel selection process. So,
Well, I mean, I think on that, I mean,
Mr. Peretti?
so we got to the point where, at our next meeting, we'll be able to look at some mediators and pick a mediator at our next meeting. I think after we get to the conclusion of that meeting, we should be then having the mediator then work with us then and find with the legal counsel. We want the legal, it's sort of like a 1, 2, 3 sort of step thing. We'll make sure we have legal counsel as we go forward with the new search to advise us. So I think we would need to have legal counsel sort of in place already.
So
So
my
I mean, I guess
question-
that's my question is, that's what I wanted to see us sort of schedule our next meeting with some deliverables. So our next meeting that we pick our mediator, and then our following meeting, we're picking our legal counsel, but we're gonna have to do these two, 3 quick meetings to get this information, get this information back to us and start to make some decisions on this.
So what you have before you is a list. These are all the firms that were provided when I asked you to provide names. We also have some firms provided by one of the outside firms that we work with on other matters. So my question to you is, do we want to work now to select a firm? Or do we want to wait and work with Bill or the mediator on this? I don't know that we need to wait to choose the firm. I think we just pose a few simple questions to them, and I don't know that we need to wait on that. What are your thoughts on that?
And Mr. Baker, the purpose of the firm is the sunshine law piece and the legality or what, I think that's important as you're choosing the firm.
Yeah.
So what the
Again, you're going
resolution
back to,
says, it says, resolved that the board will retain independent legal counsel to advise the board with respect to all legal and compliance issues associated with the new search.
with a new search. That's still vague.
Mhm.
That's still vague.
But it's-
Okay, guys.
Well, it's spelled out in other parts.
comprehensive.
It's comprehensive in that
Okay.
it's spelled out in other parts of the resolution as well. So the resolutions specifically ask for someone with expertise in sunshine law. This is gonna be one of the key asks in this process, so.
So my assumption is my question is that all these firms then either have somebody on their staff or they have several people on the staff. So
And the people listed are the folks
Right.
from these firms.
Ms. Hudson?
Rather than speculate, I think we would just send out something, I mean, and this is, I think, to the heart of your question, do we do that now? And how do we prepare that? But it would be, you know, a list for a proposal. Who would do it? Who are your personnel? What are your rates? What is your experience? And how would you do this, not only best, but and most economically?
And I consulted
Those are
with
great three
the-
questions.
I
Yeah,
consulted
all
with the
of them.
treasurer who checked with the purchasing policy, and he suggested we do something very much like that. And that we do that, now. rather than
Yeah.
waiting.
Yes,
Good
let's do
job.
that now.
Do it in the next week or two.
And then when we get, I mean, perhaps that, we ask them to return a proposal in the next
Few days.
week, and then they
Next
get it
week,
back to
yes.
us, and then we could, so we need to, and that could go to, you know, that could go to Larry Braverman, that could go to us, I mean, it could go
No.
to.
Probably
Should go to
not
the bill.
Mary, just because of potential conflict.
Go to
of interest.
treasurer.
Correct.
If you want to.
You can go to.
Just as a
go to
proposal,
Stan.
it's just a proposal, they can
Yeah.
even deliver it sealed.
Yeah, we can send it to
Oh.
Stan.
And I was gonna say too.
Yes.
You know, the selection of independent counsel is ours.
Mm-hmm.
If we reach agreement, we don't need the assistance of the mediator, you know, in doing that.
To choose
If
that.
we're not reaching agreement, you know, we may need that person's
So
So
help.
what I'm hopeful for, and
Yes.
I sit on a board with 2 legal professionals. So my hope is that I could lean on some of your expertise in
Oh.
your dealings. So
I
I'm
thought you were
just,
talking about-
I'm
She's
just
talking
saying.
about the two of you.
So, I'm not saying choose your best friend, but I am saying,
No.
which I know you wouldn't, but
Some of these
what I would
folks I don't
say,
even know, but I know their work and I
There-
know their reputation.
There are a lot of
and I know
fine
their-
folks on
Yeah.
here, and, yeah, so.
The challenge
ma'am.
is, I think our biggest challenge is that there are a lot of fine folk on here. So when we talk about, you offer rates, experience, lead person, and how they would get it done economically.
Yeah.
great questions.
What then will be our rubric to then whittle this down? Because I see some very good people, but what's going to be the metric to say, are we going to score them? Are we going to say, you know, how do we objectively choose? I mean, what is our process going to be to choose between these? Rate will be very big, I get that, but after that,
And if I
Yes,
can
ma'am.
rate, but also experience and then availability to us.
Yes, that's
So
right.
Availability.
I think that, you know, making sure that consistently counsel's available to us as a board, so when we meet, they would be able to meet.
Knowing we want to
With
move
us.
expeditiously.
well, and our expeditiously is like a rabbit with a turtle. So,
The rabbit, not the turtle.
yeah, I wish. But are we going to offer them that this may be a 3 to 6 month engagement? I think maybe
I
we
don't
just
think
tell
we
them.
say. I mean,
We just
they
got to
would-
tell them they
I mean,
got to be in.
They're all local, so
Yeah.
they all have their ear to the ground and watch and. so-
And they're lawyers, they know sometimes things go quickly, and sometimes they go.
That's it.
long.
Nobody ever guarantees those kind of things, so. But they can also say, we'll do it there are various ways they can structure, and I think
Yeah.
rather than us dictating it, we ask them what their
But why don't we
suggestion
then,
is.
with these last 2 pieces then, for our next meeting, have the next 2 actionable items in our meeting be to pick this legal independent counsel and to pick our mediator? I mean, do you think we could correlate both those so we can kind of knock
Yeah.
them both out?
If you'd like, Eric and I could draft up the 3 questions, circulate it
Mhm.
with everybody, and if that's okay, then we can, then if we
Divide
have
and
someone
conquer.
send that out,
Sure.
I think that's great.
okay?
How soon do you think you can turn it around?
In the next 5 minutes.
Just get back to it.
Sometimes the best work is done that way.
I think we could do
But,
something by
yeah.
the end of the week.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, then we can get it out, we can have them respond prior to our next meeting.
And when we say our next meeting, we're talking about the meeting that we're going to say.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's
That's next.
the last thing I think we want to do tonight. Does everybody have their calendars with them?
Add big and small.
Big and small.
Let's go.
All right. So we have How quickly do you think firms can be responsive to our letter?
A week.
Oh, yeah, very quickly, yeah, turn around. We've
If they,
already,
They've had
if they want
interns.
it.
it's already.
They're drafting it right now, we're live. Just kidding.
So,
I mean, there's a way that we can meet, maybe not the end of the next week, so basically almost 10 business days would be able to accomplish those two things, mediator and legal counsel, by maybe like the Friday, the 27th. Would be maybe during the day.
do folks have availability on that Friday?
The day is very difficult for me.
Day is very
Sorry.
difficult.
Um,
There's Monday the 30th.
I'm free Monday the 30th.
Anything
Available.
earlier next week?
I mean, could we do the
So that's-
26th?
But you gotta get, you're
25
doing the
or
thing by
26.
Friday. You
Well,
gotta give them time to
You gotta give 'em
respond,
time.
guys.
Yeah,
So-
You're gonna get your
That's
stuff
true.
done next week.
April
and then you're
30th.
gonna
What's
go
wrong
back.
with the 30th?
the week of the 30th.
April 30th,
Yeah,
I can do 30th.
Monday,
30th.
Sure.
What time?
5:30.
5:30.
fine, same time, same back to
Yeah.
place. back
Does
to-
that work for
Could we,
everyone?
would we
Works
also
for me.
have Bill, I mean, we'd have these responses, we'd also have Bill here?
Yes.
Well, we
Yes,
gotta,
to get
you
that
gotta,
done?
as much as you
So
can
let's
speak
give
to a
you 2
schedule,
dates then.
we gotta.
30th of April, 5:30 is
Yeah,
date.
Bill
So
will
Bill will be
represent.
able to present us with some.
And then the
mediators.
next, we meet the very
We'll
next
be
day, which is
discussing
May
the
1.
decision on
Okay.
legal counsel.
So we meet the 1st, so.
So could our second date be
I'm
just a
available
work
the second.
session after our board meeting?
Yes.
Or do
Yes.
you want to look at when's the next day?
Well, I mean, I think that
Let's
we
do
should.
it right after,
Let's
yeah.
I mean, I think we need to
Let's
get
do it
right
right
then to
after.
the search firm process and how we start to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
Mr.
And if we do that
President.
the next day, that would be great.
So can folks stay late Tuesday, May 1st?
I
Yes.
can.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's fine, so it's not the, it's the week of the 30th, but not the 30th.
No.
Now we
No,
moved
we're
on.
meeting the 30th.
30th
and
is
then
the work
1st.
session.
The
30th for mediators and legal counsel.
That's the first option.
And then
for
30, and then the Tuesday, the 1st, would be a discussion happening about.
At the end of the
At the end of the
meeting.
meeting about
Search firm.
search firm.
So block, if you can, block both dates.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, do
The
you,
30, with this, so we're blocking the 30th of April and the 1st of May.
Yes.
Right.
The first should
The
already
first
be
is
fine.
all
Well-
meeting
A board
anyways.
meeting.
well, hold on.
So we
wait a
can just
minute.
do it at the end of
Back
that.
up, back up. We asked the mediator if he, we're asking him to help us to go through the search firm selection. Just as a question, do you think he needs to work with us first, or you think he's gonna be good?
I think he needs to come to the meeting on Tuesday.
I mean, we haven't met him. I
Or
mean,
she.
He or
Or she,
she.
yeah.
I'm just saying, I know we wanna go, we wanna move, but do we need to put some time in where we actually meet this person and do some Q&A and talk with them? Because we haven't met them at all. And I think it will bode well for us to actually talk and work with them and talk through some things and let him or her then hear what we're saying and then be able to move into a discussion.
Well, like Mr. Brown said, we'll only need the mediator's services on selection of search firm if we can't agree. So we won't necessarily need the mediator's services to choose a search firm unless we come to an impasse. I mean,
So we're gonna marry somebody and not date them? I mean, I just
I
wanted,
mean-
not even a first date. I mean, I'm just saying, in terms of working with
I mean,
people for the
My
long haul.
suggestion is that we simply get started. If we don't like the person, if it's not working, we need to make a change.
Well, I'm saying we're not
But I don't
allowing the
think
time
it-
to meet the person.
I will meet them at the first time we meet with them.
So, Mr.
And instead of
President,
doing hypothetical or
Mr.
social
President.
talk, it'll be addressing some real.
I think that there's
Business
some,
matters.
thank you, Mr. President. I think that there's some advance that could be done here. So if the concern is, because I hear what you're saying, if the concern is okay, I'd like to at least get some measure of familiarity about the professional that we're going to be working with. If we can, again, get some sort of curriculum vitae or bio, some sort of
Oh, yeah.
information well in advance of us having any kind of discussion sitting down face to face. If
we'll
we could
all
have that,
on the 30th.
that'd be
Well,
outstanding.
30th, that's what the 30th is for.
Yeah, but we're
to
picking
get
them-
that info.
Yeah, we're picking them on the 30th, but we're putting them to work on the 1st.
Yeah.
So can
what's
you
wrong
build
with
some
that?
time in the beginning of the work session for them to introduce themselves and who they are?
Get to know each other.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes,
A
we
phone
can.
call.
No, they need to be able to
We can meet
speak
for
to
10 or
us.
15
Yeah,
minutes.
they need to speak with us as a board.
They could come, they
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
Bill to bring he should vet through that, bring 3 candidates, we go through them on the 30th.
That's an
And then they
option.
should be ready, whoever it is should be ready to meet with us on the 1st.
Yeah, so
Yep.
Bill could do the pre-call
Yeah.
now. Do some pre-call.
And that's what I'm
they
saying.
have a- Yeah,
Yeah,
That's what
I
I'm
get
saying.
that.
with you, yeah.
He knows
I think
his
that's a
homework.
good
I get
idea.
that.
Yeah.
But they're there to just sit there and just jump in when needed.
All right,
Y'all
so we
cold.
covered all of our agenda items. We set a few dates.
Do we want to
You know
set
what?
any
Why
further
don't-
dates?
why
I would
don't
be
we-
fine setting another
let's-
day.
why
Let's
don't
set
we
another
set
date.
a few
I'm
more
open on the
dates?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Friday the 4th,
Nope. The 11th, the 4th, the 11th, and 18th, I'm out, sorry.
That's all right.
Okay,
I'm out,
7th,
I'm out the 8th and the 16th.
we could do the 7th.
I can do the 2nd, I think.
I cannot do the
May-
7th.
Okay,
What's,
what about the 8th?
The 8th?
8th is
What about
election
the-
day and
Cannot do.
Nope, okay, move on.
Cannot do.
May
Not-
9th?
honors and
I can.
recognitions.
Oh, we do?
Oh,
It's not on my calendar. Even perfect.
Can we
Maybe
cancel
before?
it?
No,
No.
no.
I think
no.
staff have already started planning. Let's
Yes.
move on to
the 10th?
Thursday.
I can't do
The
the
Educator of the
10th.
Year.
I can't do the 10th.
It's, I think it's FAC at 4.
FAC.
Finance, and you have,
I
And the
can't do the
Educator of the
10th.
Year and
You can't do
scholarship.
10th, okay,
Yeah.
we all need to
I
be
can do
here.
the 2nd.
Second,
No.
that's 3 days in a row, no ma'am.
Why?
I mean,
I can do the
14th?
14th.
14?
So there's nothing the week of the 7th?
nothing the week of the 7th for anyone. Not even that Sunday the 6th or
Yeah.
Friday.
Mother's Day, you don't have a
Oh,
mama?
oh, yeah.
Never mind. All right,
11th or 10th?
Mm-mm.
How do they not work, the 11th or 10th?
I already told, the
So
4th,
folks
11th,
around
and
the
18th, I'm
time.
not here.
Okay, so you can.
I can do the 9th and 10th.
9th is honors and recognition, that's out. 10 is
The
out
10th
for us.
Educator of the Year.
I'm out. Yeah.
What time is
So
Educator
what
of the
happened to
Year?
the
What is the
14th?
Educator of the Year? What is
What?
Who's doing it? I have it on my calendar.
RPTA.
Okay.
Yeah. What about May
Oh,
14th?
yeah, that'd be.
May
Yeah.
14th is Monday.
The 14th is
Is it
good.
still Lola?
I'll make myself available.
I'm available on the 14th.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you
that's why I
14th.
didn't support the levy.
Are you good on the
I'm
14th?
Yeah, why I didn't support the levy.
Are you good on the
I'll
14th?
make nearly
Available on
any
the
day.
7th.
Oh, no, I'm not available. I could,
14th doesn't work for you?
So do we put it on the back of the 15th board meeting?
Well,
We're all here on the
we
15th?
know we'll be here for that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, then May
Alright.
15th.
But what, so.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I mean,
So this is why we're gonna need the mediator, right?
well, not to me. I
How
mean,
about this, yeah.
This has been the problem before.
well, no, this
Understand.
is
Okay,
time.
all right.
Guys, okay, come on.
Our time. I mean, our time is.
We're getting.
All right, is there
there's
another
seven.
date?
There's 7 busy people. It's
All right,
it's
Another
gonna happen.
date that
Let's keep on
week?
going.
let's find another one.
So the
Out the
14th we got.
16th.
No, 15th after the
15th
Yeah,
after the
15th
meeting,
as well.
but,
Yeah.
okay, let's pick one
I'm
of the
available
let's do it
days
next
that
week.
week.
I'm available on the
22nd.
17th.
Say
17th?
again?
The 22nd, so we the 15th.
And then the 22nd.
Yeah, but can we do something
Hey,
the
anybody
same
available the
week?
17th?
I'm
No.
not. yeah.
Not available?
No.
I'm not.
Which one did you
Okay.
say, Mary Jo?
22nd, that
Then
works for
the
me.
next, the following Tuesday, the 22nd.
I can do the
I
22nd.
can do
I'm
22nd.
good.
What time?
5:30.
Same time.
Okay.
Man, all I have is SP.
And this is just an alternative date, yes?
These are.
No, these are
Well,
additional dates because
these
we're
are
gonna
Nailing
need to
down
work at
dates
it.
just for.
Block
Because we're
it
probably
off.
gonna need them all.
Block it off right now.
Okay.
5/22 is a special meeting then?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm
5:30.
available on the 23rd, 24th. Not on the 23rd.
And then that next weekend is Memorial Day weekend.
I'm also available on the 23rd and 24th.
Now, we don't have a meeting, we don't have a meeting on the 29th. That's a rare 5th Tuesday.
How about,
Schedule.
Folks available
Nailed
for
it.
I'm
the
available.
29th?
I'm available.
I'm
Yep.
available.
Okay,
Available.
let's put the 29th on there too.
Good.
All right, I think that gives us several
Yep, 1, 2, 3,
good
4, 5.
options.
That's 5 meetings.
That's-
That's the most we've
that's
ever.
basically Tuesdays.
Yeah.
That's great, all
Perfect.
right.
On
So
Tuesdays.
put
and
those
Every
blocks
Tuesday-
on your
every
calendar.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So I've got the 30th, we're gonna do the
Right.
1st, the
Yeah.
15th, the 22nd,
things
the
done.
29th.
That's correct.
People are
Okay.
hangry.
Great,
Perfect.
okay. I do believe that's all I
That's the
was
first
hoping to
unanimous
accomplish
vote
today.
already. Oh, wait a minute, discussion.
Is there anything else for the good of the order this evening?
No, sir, motion to adjourn.
Well,
Second.
I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for the discussion. It's lively, we're passionate about this issue. I appreciate that. And if there's nothing else, Mr. Treasurer, would you like to call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Sure.
Vice President Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Gibbs?
Yes.
Ms. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Peretti?
Yes.
Ms. Reyes?
Yes.
President Baker?
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. We stand adjourned. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Thank you very much.